This tech tip is going to be the first in a series of things that littles can do with tech. So in this tech tip, you will find 6 different activities or resources that you can use with your students. The activities are created mainly for students in kindergarten through 2nd grade. However, they can be applied to students in any K-5 classroom. By the end of this video, you'll be able to see how you can witness how your littles will be able to demonstrate numeral understanding. They're going to use a digital 10 frame, make and analyze shape arrangements, practice reading sight words, use voice type responses, which is absolutely life-changing, discover how to use a hidden image through mathematical practice, and then also to create a collection of word families. At the end of this video, if you need help integrating any of these activities into your classroom, feel free to reach out to me and I'll be happy to help coach you through it and be there to co-teach with you as you try them with your students for the first time. So the first 2 activities I'm going to share with you are how you can integrate mathematics and Google Slides. You can also do this in Google Drawings, but so that your students can demonstrate numerical understanding. So the first one, you simply are going to give them a template, and all these templates will be available on Google Classroom, and they have the numbers on them. And the purpose of this is your students will then create shapes, add the shapes to their Google slide to demonstrate what the number of 1 or the number of 2 means to them. So in order for your students to add shapes, they just go ahead and they click on the shape icon. They can then choose the shape of their choice. Okay, and after they choose that shape, so let's say I'm going to do circles, they can click and it will create the shape for them. So if you were distributing this activity to your students, you would give it to them without the shapes, and then they can go ahead and add the shapes to kind of show their understanding for number sense. So they've added, one shape there, they can add another one. Once your students get a little more tech savvy with adding shapes, they can also change the colors if they want to. You don't have to teach them how to do that. You can leave that as an additional option for another activity. One thing I've also seen teachers do is they will rearrange the order on the sides. So if you want to kind of differentiate it for students, they don't have to go in numerical order. You can rearrange them to see their number sense understanding. This template goes all the way up to 10, but if you wanted to go beyond that, for your students, you can do that as well. The next activity is taking what we did with the number sense, but now you're adding the 10 frame to it. So for example, all this is it has the 10 frame is on the master slide. The students can't actually click it or move it around. It's there permanently. But you could, for example, give your students, a 4 and have it so that it has 2 filled in. And then you would submit it out to them via Google Classroom, and their job is to figure out how many more they have to add to that 4 or to this 2 in order to make it so that it is 4. Same thing where if you were doing 6, you could have them show you how many circles it would take to fill in the 6 on the 10 frame. And this is giving your students another way to practice their understanding for mathematics. If you have any questions about integrating these into your classroom, feel free to reach out to me. The third one is, so you're taking their number sense and now you're giving them an option to do some different shape arrangements. So for example, you would have, let's do the third one. So first you would have your students pick 3 shapes. So we're going to pick a triangle, I'm going to do a circle, and you may even want as a teacher to have the 3 shapes already on there for your students so that they're just there so that they can manipulate them right away, and that's totally fine. And then with those shapes, they're going to have them as different colors. So, and like I said, this is you knowing your kids. If you need them to have this pre-created for them, that's fine too. And so I'm going to have them different colors just so we can kind of move them around. And so the purpose of this is they're going to see how many different ways they can arrange these shapes. And they're going to keep track of it in this data table right here. So the first one is triangle, circle, square. and then they can rearrange it so that we have another set. So then it would be circle, triangle, square. And they would keep doing this to see how many different arrangements they can make with these shapes and to also track their data. And they would keep going until the table is full. Afterwards, you could then have some discussion questions. So what observations did you make while you were working on this activity? Can you compare different results? And what strategies did you use? And this is something that they could then talk with their peers about, or you could bring them back to the carpet and have a discussion as a whole class on how they arranged their different shapes. So this next activity in this template, and once again, this template will be available via Google Classroom. Your students can actually use the voice to text to practice their sight words. And now this is just an example template. You can put different sight words on it based on what your students are working on for word wall right now. But what I've done is I've gone ahead and entered, after, again, any, as, and ask. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert, I'm going to go to Tools, and I'm going to select Voice Typing. And this is going to pop up on the side. So then your students, all they have to do is they're going to click this to speak, and then they'll start reading the words. So I'm going to show you. It's going to pick up exactly what I'm saying. So after, again, any, as, ask. Now you're going to see that there are some times where it may not pick up exactly. So like the Annie and the Annie, it sounds very similar, but it's really good for your students working on pronunciation. The other thing you're going to want them to know is like if they need to get down to the next line, they just click it so that it's off, and then when they go down to the next line, they click it and it will pick up what they are saying. This is a great way if you want your students to work on sight words and you want them to work on, independently while you're working with a small group, maybe like a check-in. You can submit this to them via Google Classroom. They can fill it out using that voice to type and submit it back to you, and you can kind of do a quick check during the week to kind of see where they're at for their sight words. The next thing that I'm going to show you is also how to use voice to type. So you can actually have your students do voice to type for their responses. So for example, you could send out a Google document with a couple questions if you're doing like a read aloud or an interactive reading and you want your students to respond to the story, or you want them to do some independent reading and have a response. On this template, you just are going to put your question where it says another question, and then when your students see this voice type icon, they'll know to go to Tools, hit Voice Typing, and then so if it's asking what the story is about, they can go ahead and click in. The story is about okay, and so you're going to see that even if they say like or something like that, it's not going to pick it up. But they can go ahead and share what their story is about. One of the really important things is to make sure that they remember if they need to do punctuation, to put that in. So if they, are done with their sentence, they have to say period. If they wanted to have a new line or enter down, they would say new line. But at this point, it's just making it so that it's another tool for them to capture their thinking and share it with you, because you can't be listening to all of your students at the exact same time. So this is going to give them a resource, and it kind of takes away that challenge of my first graders don't really know how to type yet. It's taking away that barrier and still making them being able to interact with their Chromebooks. The very last activity that I'm going to show you is called Pixel Art Image, and this is a great tool for a few things. You're going to do the mathematical practice. They're going to be working on, addition or subtraction or whatever mathematical skill you have going on. But then also for your littles, it's good for them to start understanding where the numbers are on the keyboard. So it kind of has a two different lens going on. Now this is an example, a sample one that has already been created. I'll also share on the Google Classroom, I'll share a template for you to create your own. But what students are going to do is, so they're going to see 2 plus 4. They're going to do that mathematical whatever their strategy is and know that 2 plus 4 is going to equal 6. They'll type 6 and then they'll move away from the box and it's going to turn it purple. So 3 plus 3, 6, they're going to move 5 plus 1, 6. So they're going to go ahead and they're going to fill in the number for each one, and you're going to see, I'm not going to do it all for you at this time, but you're going to see it's going to create an image for that student. And it's just a great way for them to kind of practice their mathematical thinking, but also have that number recognition when it comes to working with the keyboard. And it's a great way to integrate that numerical keyboarding authentically into a lesson or an activity with your students. So those are the 6 tech tips I have for you for this week. If you have any questions or need help integrating them into your classroom or into your grade level, please let me know. I'd be happy to come in and help you co-teach them, or give you any other resources to help you integrate technology into your classroom. Have a great day.